56. My blurry vision, I think, is reading a 56 in the top corner, but I'm not quite
It
sure.
is. It's 56.
So 56, man. I think that officially says that we've surpassed the 1 year mark, and we're starting our first show of year number 2, give or take, which is kind of cool. I mean, we're missing the main guy, but we're still here. So I'm going to call it an accomplishment and thank Shan for being my number 2, which, let's be honest, he's really number 1. But you know what? We appreciate it. Yeah, I got to be nice sometimes. I can't just be a prick to
He
you
only
all the
says
time.
that on the air, though. I'm just
That's
saying,
true. Riley could probably vouch for it. I tear him down when it's not over the air. So again, thanks guys for sticking with us for this long. Today's show, obviously, we got Riley Jameson, which is a good friend of ours, an amazing carpet guy, and more. Honestly, I think we've explained it a bit that Mike will be taking an absentee will be absentee for a little while. We don't know how long. So Shan and I are just going to do fun shows. We're going to do stuff that we like. So there might be a little bit more carpet python shows. There might be more morelia shows, but we will spread our wings eventually. But for the next couple of shows, I think we're just going to do what we love and see where it takes us. So obviously we brought on Riley because we wanted somebody passionate, somebody who, you know, loves carpet pythons and who can talk, talk our talk. So except for that, let's start with Shan, man. How have you been, man?
Doing okay.
Anything new?
Yeah, spotteds are finally out and going. Almost lost them all. Had a little mishap.
I think you got to have an explanation on that.
Well, I mean, so I'll take the container here. So this container here, but make it bigger. I guess there was a little hole right here in the corner here. Didn't see it. And just let the eggs kind of all hatch and everything. Everything was good, ready to put them away. And I get to put them away, and there's 2 to put away out of 7 eggs. And I'm like, wait a minute, where are they? Go back to the incubator, and they're on the heat tape that's not sticking on the incubator. Yeah, so that was fun times to take some oil and basically peel them off. Everyone seems okay. Yeah, big mishap there. Um, Brand new container too, so like I don't know. I attention to detail is what you're going to learn about that one.
I've had that happen to me once, but I didn't know I was actually missing a snake because it was a twin. So I had the right number of snakes for the right number of eggs. And I found it in the incubator like a week or 2 later, just like going through and checking on other eggs. And then like just a little snake perched on the shelf. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And until I realized that, it was a twin because one of them was much smaller out of the previous clutch. And I'm like, I guess I got twins and it got out of one of the breathing holes, like in the bin because it was so small.
So, and the thing is I didn't want to use one with any holes at all for this particular reason, and I thought I had all that covered. Anyway, yeah, feel like an idiot, but anyway, it is what it is. Apart from that, yeah, another stupid thing that I did, the scrub python. Yeah, fun times. So yesterday, yes, I didn't tell you that, but so yesterday
you didn't tell me, and those scrubs are half mine, so now you got me worried. But go.
No, everything's good with the scrubs. Trust me.
Right.
So, the big girl was out, and I have this nesting box, and that I've built for them, and everything's good. So sometimes they just go in there and they kind of bugger out and do their thing. This time she was out, and I was thinking it's time to feed and everything. I didn't have any food out or anything like that. So I have the container has that cork, the screw container, basically the plumbing,
the toilet drain out.
Yes,
I think is what you're looking for.
Yeah. So basically, here I am. She's on the container lid, but off to the side. I've got a hook. I'm trying to keep her off to the side and put this screw the container lid on, and she keeps coming at me, and I'm like poking her with the hook. Anyway, she came at me from the other side of the cage. Yeah, yeah, fun times.
Did she get you?
A little bit, yeah,
Oh, nice,
yeah.
nice. I haven't I have not been bitten by a
So,
big snake in so long.
yeah, it hurt on the finger. This one right here. Uh, yeah, but it was more of a kind of like fuck off. This belongs to me. I've So one thing I've noticed, they're very territorial. This nesting box that they have because they go into it all the time. I don't know if that's the thing. I'm new with scrubs. I'm kind of learning bit by bit. They've always been really good. Um, she's really good, but I don't mess around when it comes with food with her, right? And that was the thing, separating them. He won't eat, but she loves to eat, so that was the time to do that, right? But anyway, yeah, I got to find a better method of doing that or a shield or something. But pretty stupid mistake. Uh, yeah, like I said, I took the hook and I was like trying to keep her away, but that just wasn't. That's not good enough when it comes to scrub python.
Not bad. You got any eggs left in the incubator, or are you pretty much done?
Yeah, I still have both the Brettles.
Oh, okay,
I
fair.
had a clutch of Brettles actually this week. The G genetic stripe
What did you
female.
bred? Genetic stripe to genetic stripe, or
So het genetic stripe to the genetic stripe male. Yeah.
nice, nice.
And then I still have the king snakes there. The eggs are on top of one of the racks up there. But yeah, that's it.
Gray bands,
That's
right?
all. Yeah, gray bands. Just regular, normal, common gray bands. So yeah,
Nice. And
everything else is eating good. Out of the stuff that you brought over, so funny thing is, you know how it is, right? So you brought two different clutches of inlands. One had not shedded, and I just did the experiment and just drop food in there and see what happens. And two of them ate that had not shedded. Weird or what, right?
so
Like
to give you an
out
idea,
of all the other ones, the ones that had shedded, they wouldn't even look at it, right?
but keep in mind, so I had one clutch of inlands, and then that's the same clutch from the same parents as last year, and they were terrible,
Yep.
terrible feeders. They were really hard to get going. And then I had another clutch this year, but the second clutch was born maybe a month to a month and a half after, and they shed within 2 weeks. The other one, we're at like 2 months, and they still haven't had their first shed, which is
What's
super weird. I don't get
what's
why certain snakes do that.
what's the CB one?
CB is crossbow. It simply signifies which female it is, and
Okay.
LB is longbow, which is my other female.
Okay, so I had one of the longbows and one of the crossbows. So weird.
So, I mean, Riley, you need a friend like that. Like, so basically, I have like 12, 13 non feeders. I just pocket them all and I go, Shan, here's 13 non feeders. He gives me 13 jungles that are eating. So, like little
Nice.
babies. So basically, I fed everything yesterday. And surprisingly, every single one of my babies ate this year. It's super easy. I don't know why. But,
Uh,
you know,
that's because I gave you some that I had already
I
like four or
know.
five meals. Like after that, it's a joke.
I know, but so Shan has access to live ASF, live mice, live rats
Mm.
because he breeds everything, right? So it's just instead of going driving an hour to pick up tons of live baby everything and getting two to like basically every time I do that, I get about two more to eat. And usually I would do that
Mm.
every 2 weeks. I'd find a reason to drive an hour and go pick them up and kind of go from there. So, but this year I took the lazy route. I just said, like, hey, Shan, how about we make a nice trade? I think it's a pretty fair trade on my end.
Yeah.
Checks out.
So let's jump to you, man. Riley, you've been on before. Um, let's just start with give or take. Give us an update of your season. Give an update of what's going on right now with your reptiles. Like, catch us up for the people. You probably haven't been on a podcast in what, like maybe a few months. I feel like I hear you every now and then.
Yeah, I haven't been on too many podcasts in a while. I did expert in the idiot a few months ago, and that was kind of like my first podcast
Yeah,
back in
that was a
in
good
for a
one,
little
man. I
bit.
remember
But
it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was a good one. That was an interesting talk. Um, yeah, I remember that as well. So yeah, let's see. This season, it's kind of getting to the tail end. I only have my two Brettles clutches in the incubator currently, and one of them just started hatching today. So be wrapping up with those, and those will uh, total me out for 17 pairs of carpet clutches this year with like fertile eggs. I did get a full slug clutch from one female, and then had a couple of other females decide not to go that were young and first timers. But yeah, then I did a small clutch of hognose, got one viable Arizona Mountain King, and then a couple red Zeppelin corn snakes. So not too much else outside of the carpet pythons. And then I have a small group of Australian geckos like Stropherus, spiny tail geckos that have been breeding for me. So I've got a handful of babies of those and more coming, and some crested geckos that are just for fun that just kind of breed nonstop. So I'd say it's 90% carpet pythons, and then the other 10% is geckos and a few colubrids. Um, Unless my, one rosy boa female that might be gravid lays or pregnant, I guess, but we'll see. Yeah, it's a
Man,
lot.
17 clutches. That's impressive. But at least if I assume things are still the same, like this is your job is breeding now, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, I
so
am.
because
I'm doing
I
this full
feel
time.
like you would have never done 17 clutches while holding a full-time job.
There's no way I would
Okay.
have had the time for that. My wife would be furious. Yeah, if I was spending 40 hours a week at a job and then that much time in here, no way.
Yeah, because I made the mistake last year. I think last year was my biggest year. I got around 13 clutches, and it sucked, man. I don't know what else to say. Like, and I have a full time job too. It was horrible. It was my absolute maximum. I think 130 ish babies is what I got, like alive born, and
Hmm.
it was. I don't know what else to say. Like, it was not fun. It made the hobby not a hobby. It made it a painful task, and just about how to figure out how to wholesale and move everything as fast as I can so I can, live again.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, amazing, man. Congrats. 17 clutches is 17 plus your hog, so that's 18. So you're damn, man, it's pretty good. It means you probably had a lot more adults and you never bred purposely just to control your output.
yeah, especially years leading up to this. I never just thrown everything at the wall and been like, everybody breeds. Last year, this past season was about as close to that as I've gotten. And even then, there are still animals that I was like on the fence about and just kind of pump the brakes to play it safe, or, just didn't really put that much effort into it because it just wasn't, a big priority with everything else going on. But yeah, I mean, it's over 200 babies, and there's still another, near 30 to come out of the incubator. So it's a lot. It is a full-time job. Feeding is not just a one-day affair. It's usually 2 days. If I do all the feeding in one day, that means the second day is then followed up, going back around and seeing who didn't eat and cleaning and kind of just making sure I don't have to play where's the smell a few days later.
That's day number three's game.
Oh,
Yeah,
I hate
yeah,
that.
it's bad. So, but yeah, so I've had to, in order to keep my same standard and level of like care and attention to detail, it's everything takes twice as long now. Cleaning takes usually 2 days or at least a good 8 to 10 hour day. Um, and then spot cleaning throughout the week. Feeding, I usually plan before my actual feed day so I can be pretty efficient with what I'm pulling out of the freezer or going to get live. Just trying to be as efficient with every little step. So I'm saving time, saving materials, saving food, saving money, and just trying to be conscious along the way. But yeah, man, it's work. I have to take note of, when my frustrations are boiling over, and pull myself away and unplug for 15, 20 minutes and reset sometimes, because I'll find myself getting really frustrated. And yeah, so it is what it is. Baby season's going to put you through the ringer, and when you have over 200 of them, it's really going to squeeze you. So
So just by curiosity, I know like if I either let's go retired or stopped working suddenly and I decided to do reptiles full time, I can tell you in my head I'd be like, I need another 8 to 10 adult female jungles. That's where my head
yeah,
would be going because every year, like Shan, you had how many clutches? 2 clutches or 3 clutches of jungles?
Two.
Two. Okay, so I had two. So we had four
I
clutches of jungles
I
today.
tried to have more.
Yeah. Well, but either way, we had 4 clutches of jungles that with live babies. I had one full slug clutch, but the whole point is all those are sold and they're not even born yet and they're already sold. And we have, well, Don Patterson doesn't listen. So I was supposed to wholesale him. He wanted all my jungles. So I didn't even, he's not even getting one, unfortunately, because I have to prioritize Japan first. So
yeah.
he's not, and we didn't sell any to any people because
Except
we
you're
don't
saving one for me.
except that he's trying to get me to save 2 even though they were already
No,
sold, but one or
one
two.
from well, one from me and one from you. I need the nicest
Yeah,
female,
but whether they come from you or
ocelot.
from me, they're already sold, so we're holding
Uh,
2. Anyway,
Okay,
there's a
you said
point where I'm
one.
going here, guys. So my question to you is, when you decided to do this, did you have an animal in mind that you were going to try to, I don't want to say mass produce, but go stronger on, but not for the purpose of getting nicer and advancing your own projects, right? More for the, well, I need to make money in this hobby because it's now also a job. Like in my head, if that's where I was going, I would still do my little projects here and there. But I can tell you that my next clutch is I would be holding jungles like crazy because I can never have enough. I would have at least 10 clutches of jungles a year and I can guarantee I'd sell them all in a second. And that would make me, I could make easily 80 grand of jungles in 1 year if I had tons of females. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I'm just wondering on your end, is there something like that that went through when you decided, or was it just these are the adults I have, so this is what's happening?
It was more, these are the adults that I have, so this is what's happening. However, after coming to this point in the season, I do see myself trying to make a concerted effort to breed more animals that are probably just more, really nice, good, high quality jungles, normal, high color, Papuans, and probably just some nice Brettles. Those are probably the 3 groups of snakes that I just can't seem to produce enough of just like your baseline kind of really good looking, pretty to everybody across the board, and not really caring about lineage or whatever. It's just going to catch your eye, sort of thing. Everybody can appreciate that. And so I think that has those 3 have the widest appeal as far as breeders, experienced keepers, and new people to the hobby, kind of discovering this niche of things. So those are 3 areas that I'll probably expand on producing just more for the people, so to speak. Because as I was going through everything this year, every little clutch is a little bit of a project in some way or a new project in some way. I've got like my baseline Lazic line Brettles. I'm going to hold back a pair because the last 2 seasons, the results were so good and I just didn't hold any back. But I keep seeing all the photos that people share, and I'm like, crap, I did not keep any for myself. And every time, Martin Roseman shares this one, just a normal Lazic line animal from me, people comment, and they're like, that's better than my hypo or this and that. And my, wait list just doubles instantly. So I've failed to keep enough of those over the years, but that's going to change. Um, I did 6 pairs of jungles this year, and they're all like projecty in some way, so there's all going to be holdbacks from all of those. But then like the first clutch of jungles, my entire Patreon group snatched up, so none of that went public, because it just comes from this really particular animal of mine that's well known, and so people want snakes from her. But then the others were stuff for the Ocelot project, or making MIA zebras, or making better stripes. So for lack of a better way to describe it, I didn't do any just like normal jungle pairings. Um, Now there are spectacular normal, as in like it's not an ocelot, it's not a zebra, so it's just a quote unquote jungle in there, but they're spectacular color with great lineage, nice pattern, things like that. So I'll have some of that stuff, but I really do need to make more of an effort to have some of the more what I call non-project pairings, um, just for volume numbers, for shows, for pets, things like that. But we'll see. I think the numbers kind of cover my base just on that alone. But yeah, there's a lot that's been coming out, a lot of surprises, a lot of stuff that I'm planning on holding back. There's an entire clutch of pop wins that I'm just keeping the entire clutch just because to see. So that kind of stuff happens, it seems.
Yeah, I definitely want to go through the whole jungle and your clutches there. I know that's one big conversation point we'll have a little later. Pop wins, I'd love to go through it with you as well. I actually want to go through one clutch with you just for fun because it's only 7 or 8 babies,
Yeah.
but you've seen a good amount, so I think we're gonna have fun with that. That's why I wanted the pictures because I want to go through them with you as well for that. But before we do that, I'll do 2 things if you guys are cool. First of all, I'll give my update for the season or
Yeah.
what's been going on the past week. Um, I applied for my CITES permits, which is something we do yearly, which I think is cool. Nobody ever talks about doing that, but it's incredible how difficult applying for CITES permits used to be for me. I swear, the first year we did it, I think I talked to Shannon. I told him like, I think it took me like 8 or 9 hours to do it. It was 8 or 9 hours to fill it in and know how to fill it in, but it took like 40 hours of research. Second year took me like 4 hours to do. That's it. Third year took me an hour and a half. This year, I literally took my thing that's already filled in on my computer, removed 26, 25, put 26, changed 1 or 2 little thing. I did it in less than half an hour. Like,
Nice.
and I applied and it's gone. Like, it's amazing how simple it is, but you know, I got to stick with. We've already done all my lineage charts for spotted pythons, for Angolan pythons, for carpet pythons. As long as we don't add something new, we're good. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I have very specific lineage charts, and somehow it's always those females that keep having the babies. So it works out perfectly, right? So it's been good. So we got that done. It's sent out. Usually takes about 4 weeks for us to get them back. So we're kind of waiting on that. We've got our big export order that'll go through at some point. We just can't confirm it because we're still waiting for babies to actually come out of eggs. It's hard because they want to buy things. I'm like, I actually don't know what it is. Like, it's a white egg. I can't tell you what's in there. But that's the idea. All the jungles are sold. Whatever's in there, they're sold. So we did that. I've been off all week. I was saying right before the show, I ended up having a laser eye surgery, so that's why I might be squinting more than usual. I am partially blind. I need glasses to read, but I'm wearing like Band-Aid corrective lenses post surgery. I can see well. I was just anyway some little procedure. I'm good now, but I'm off for 2 weeks because of that, which is amazing. So I got 2 weeks off work. I get to be home, but because of that, I have so much freaking time in the snake room. So like my cleaning took like twice, it's 3 times as much. You know, when you clean a cage, you're not just changing the paper, taking out the animals, washing every single wall, all the tops, everything. Like the shit you usually don't do every time because it's just so time consuming. So I did that. I did a gigantic feeding. Like, um, I don't know about you guys, so maybe you guys can tell me what you think, but I think I've started under feeding my animals. So there's been such a push for everybody feeds their animals too much. And I'm busy, man. I sometimes realize, man, I forget to feed my animals. And I can go so long. Like my adults, if I don't feed the females in a month and a half, and I'm like, oh well, doesn't really matter. She's fine. But when you think about the fact that you're not feeding them during the entire winter, like I gotta get some meals in there because I got only 6 months. So sometimes like, holy shit. So I fed a lot yesterday. Like I have some females that look like they won't even be able to move because like they've got a football in them. I definitely fed very large meals yesterday just for fun. So I'm trying to catch up on maybe my lack of feedings. including my diamond, because my diamonds didn't go this year, which again, I didn't think they would. They're about 4 years old, give or take. She still had a small head, but holy crap, she took a big meal yesterday. So she's massive, and I'm hoping to see where that goes. Except for that, updates. Still got 2 clutches in the incubator, 2 clutches of jungles, and everything else is hatched. Everything else is eating. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's kind of my update for now. Next update is about the podcast, which Shannon and I have decided we're just, like I said right at the start, we're just gonna have fun and just go with it. And for the 3 listeners that actually joins, we're planning on keeping it going, even if Mike might not be back for quite a while. It just might be shows that we enjoy more. So chances are you're not going to get any amphibian shows. Chances are you're not going to get shows about, some oddball colubrid, because I know shit about colubrid. So unless you bring somebody that can help us out on that one, I don't think so. And that's my update. And on that note, lastly, the only thing I need to say before we basically put the entire show on you, Riley, is going to be we just want to thank our 2 sponsors. Our first sponsor is going to be the Western Canadian Reptile Expo. There you go. They are the largest reptile and plant show in Western Canada. As to when their next show is, I'm trying to look on their online, and I can't really see, but it's a great show. It's a big show. I think they're every few months, and I'm pretty sure there's one coming up. I think I had said August last time. But I know Mike goes to it all the time, and here you go. I just pulled it up. So next upcoming show is Sunday, the 15th of August, opening at 8 and goes on till the 16th at, holy crap, I'm so blind. I got to come up. I think it's 3 p.m. So that's the next show. And then the next sponsor, Jesus Christ, I'm having a memory blank there. Shan, can you help me out?
Cornell World.
There you go. Cornell's World. Cornell's World Reptiles. Freaking amazing cages. I have some. I love his cages. I actually never bought from him, but I ended up getting them secondhand. The cages must be over a decade old, and they're still in perfect shape. They last forever. They sell everything from lamps to heat pads to your thermostats to
radiant heat panels.
Exactly, your radiant heat panels. Anything you need, they ship. As far as I know, they do ship to the States, but they definitely ship everywhere in Canada. They also cages, everything. And I think he might sell animals. That one I'm not sure, but great place. And thank you for sponsoring us. And on that note, I will close off our sponsors there and tell Mike, thanks for not being with us so you can do the sponsors, because it's not my job. And that's the one part I wish you were still here for. No, I'm just kidding. And yeah. Shan, man, where do you want to start with Riley?
So got a few questions. Your bredals that are coming, are they just normals, or is there any genetics in there or morphs?
I have my first clutch of stonewash hatching right now.
Nice.
So I did het to a visual, and then the other clutch is a repeat for the 3rd time of my Lazic line animals that have just been producing some screaming red babies. Just beautiful, beautiful Lazic line animals. Nothing special to them, but for whatever reason, they're just really red. They get it really early. They get out of that sort of ugly gray brick drab color pretty quick, and they just turn on the gas with the color pretty early. So my parents are both, I think, they're 10 years old, and so they're fantastic animals. So yeah.
So when you say normal to stonewash, are they going to be het stonewash?
It was a het to a visual.
A het to a visual. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll get a mix of visuals.
50-50, give or take.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's my first time producing stonewash.
So just to confirm, stonewash is recessive, right? And a stonewash is considered a pied trait that doesn't look really pied, but it's considered a pied trait. Am I on the ball on that?
Yes. That is how Nick has described it. Yeah, so like high expression stonewash animals, what you'll see on the belly is instead of it going from the white to like the black and freckling, it'll be like a pinkish, like yellow off color on the stonewash, and you can visually see it like blotched in the white. And then from the neck to about, 8, 10 inches down, or at least the first quarter, it's almost like the background color on the flanks and the neck behind all the rosettes and markings is like scrubbed off. So the red is scrubbed off, and what you're left with is like this gray wash undertone. So yeah, I guess in a way it is sort of like a pied. It erases color and puts in white or gray where pattern and color should be. But yeah, it's not as dramatic as other visual pieds.
So I'll be honest, out of all the morphs, initially I really struggled with a stonewash. I could not figure out, like I was looking at a stonewash and a normal, and this is probably the early days of carpet pythons. I couldn't figure out what the heck was different. I was like, these look like the goddamn same thing, right? Because there's so much natural variability that to me, a
Sure.
stonewash, I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, but I can show you a normal that has somewhat of a washed out pattern on the side and things like that. And I was
Yeah.
like, really, is this really a stone? Like I really struggled with it. And maybe it's going to sound weird, but I've never seen a stonewash in real life. I don't know if you have, Shan. Like when I think about it now, we don't have stonewash. I'm sure there's some people in Canada that have stonewash bredls. I've never bred them. I've never seen them at a show. So to me, it's a trait that I've always like. I don't know. I guess it's not as obvious as other ones. Like when an albino pops out, you know what it looks like. I find the stonewash, even looking at pictures, I know how to differentiate them now, but that's one of the ones I struggled with.
Well, even look at
It's
the. Oh, go ahead, brother.
I was just going to say there's some variation even within the stonewash expression. Like my female doesn't show it very much, but just cracking the lid for checking on the eggs today, I could see one that was very high expression in there, which I was actually curious about if a low expression female could produce that. So it behaves recessive, but that recessive seems to be an accumulation of genes, and so you can get some variation within that. So yeah, I agree with you, man. I've seen, like I said, my female isn't the greatest expression, and I've seen some that are, you know, blow her out of the water. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
I feel like it's like look at like pied burns or pied ball pythons or anything like that, right? You can have a pied with only 5% pied or 95% pied, and they're both recessive, but people are breeding for, at that point, they're line breeding for animals that have much larger amounts of. So
Hmm.
definitely, like, so I don't know, to me, it's still a recessive trait, but then if you breed a 95% with a 5%, what are you going to end up with? I bet you're
Sure.
going to end up with everything, right? Like
Yeah.
you might have some low, some high, some mids. But so I would assume that if you line bred stonewash, purposely holding back very high expressions, eventually you could have an extremely high expression animal. But that's
Yeah.
my assumption.
I would agree.
I agree. It seems like that with other animals, right? Like
Hmm.
you take the gelatins, right? You take a striped animal and you breed it more to another striped one, and you're going to get a better stripe, right?
Yeah.
Think that will kind of work itself, right? Like
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
same
we
thing
we can
there, right?
selectively breed with polygenics pretty easily, but then even with recessives and incomplete dominance, where there's still the potential for selection of some variable within its trait. Like the first pied retics that came out, it was just a little bit of white on the belly. Now you can get you know full white body, and just the head has a little bit of pattern. So it's a little bit of selection, and then obviously certain other genetics will inevitably play with it in some way, shape, or form, and people will find out over time. So yeah, I think whether we're aware of it and consciously doing it, we are selectively breeding for what we like to look at.
Yeah, I've been breeding for marbles, so exanthic, granite, pop wins for a little while now, and I've popped out I think I'm at 7 that I've popped out in total. So I've been doing pretty decently. But a lot of people, like I've been asked, like, where do you go from there? I'm like, well, I want to have like the busiest of business of pattern. The reason I'm saying that is that sometimes you have animals, like if you have pop wins that are completely banded with no striping, you're not going to take your banded into a striping projects, right? You got to kind of take the line breeding in the direction that your animals are wanting to go. My granites are the insane busy granites where there's almost no pattern. It's just speckling. Compared to other people have like granites that you can literally see the pattern everywhere in them, right? Some have like really patterned granites, and it's so different. I don't have those. Mine are just like speckles. There's almost no patterns. So to me, it's like, where do you go from there? Well, probably going to go for the whitest of the whitest, craziest, busiest speckling with zero patterns is where I'm thinking of going. But like, depending on the genetic you're breeding, like if you had stonewash, I'm sure you would look at your adults and be like, okay, these are the ones I prefer. This is where I'm going to take that project if that was your goal. Just like your Jaltons, like Shan's Jaltons are all freaking stripe. There's no way he could do a banded project with his animals. You would never get there.
So take my Brettles, the genetic stripe ones. They're not really good looking stripes. Like they're okay. They have stripes on their back, but I feel like if I get babies from a clutch, which I'm trying to get a female, I can only get males. I don't know. I have this problem with that. Like the last year that I just got, the 2 genetic stripe ones were males, right? So I already have a genetic stripe male. So what I wanted was a female, and then, like I said, make the stripe better, right? I think I could improve that, right? With, like I said, selective breeding, one that has a better stripe, or the one that has the better stripe with the one that has a better stripe, right? Or back to the male, right?
Absolutely.
And improve from there. I think most people do that, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Or
absolutely.
or color or pattern. That project you're gonna have, Dominic's gonna be pretty cool. I I haven't seen a whole lot of marbles before, but there's a variation at his house, and I'm like, wow, that one is like superb. That one I'm not totally sure of. I'm like, that one's for sure a marble. And like the one I have is definitely a marble.
So Shan has one from prior years. Is yours accessible? Do you have access to it? If you feel like pulling it out, if it's not, don't worry about it. So
we'll hang on. I don't want to have another accident.
I've got now a trio, a 1.2 of the males 2 and the females are 3 of Exanthic granites breeding next year. So, and I think I popped out 3 this year from another female that are not even related, which is kind of cool because I've been doing this project. But I want to go through the clutch with you just for fun, just to show you. So let's do pop wins first. So I'm going to pull up. I think I got, I don't know, 7 or 8 babies, give or take. Okay, I'm going to go through each of them, and I want you to tell me what you think it is. So I'm going to tell you what the breeding was. So the female is a granite, het exanthic, and she has proven. She's produced marbles before. The male was a granite, 66% possible het exanthic. Okay, so it kind of gives you an idea of what I should have. So everything's granite because they were both granite. And then, yeah, so I'm going to pull it up. I don't know, should I tell you what I think I got first, or is that?
Let's go in blind.
Okay, let me just see if I can, the pictures will pull up. Oh, wow. Let's try this. Sorry, guys, if you're listening to the audio, I would highly, nope. What did I do? Oh, no, I cut out my camera. That is not sharing. Layout. Fuck, man. You know how hard it is to try to share something when you can't even read the buttons? New tab, pop wins. There you go. All right. So you guys should see it pop up soon. Do you guys see that? If I zoom in, do you see me zooming in or not? No, maybe. Nobody wants to talk to me.
Yeah, I can see it when you zoom in.
Okay, so right now, can you see the picture all the way to the left? You can see 2 pictures, basically?
Yep.
Okay, so if you look at the two pictures that I'm showing, so these are the first ones. So look at the faded out sides. Like, I don't know if you can see how faded the sides are. Mm-hmm. Okay, so again, so I'll go through them real quickly first. Again, another one, nice faded out sides, nice bright animals. So the top 4 are like that.
Okay.
Okay, so these definitely so if you had to guess, what would you say those are?
I would say that first one looks like it's probably, my guess would be that that is a non-het, just a really nice granite. And then the other one I think is an axanthic. Uh, it's either the single, yeah, I think it's the single gene axanthic, honestly. I think that one
So
might be a het.
you say it would be a het. So I think they're all granites. I don't think they're double gene exanthic at all, the top fours. But the sides are really, and it doesn't really show well. But if you look at the white, like the belly white really creeps up on the side. So
Uh,
they're not exanthic granite. I definitely don't think so. So I'm gonna go to the next ones. So then you've got these two, which is the same animal. That one, what do you think is that one? That one's I would say the ugliest granite I popped out.
I think that one's again just a granite with no copies of axanthic in there.
Okay, I would agree. Then you've got this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same. I'm just seeing lots of red
Okay,
and yellow tones of
yeah,
that.
I agree, and I'm getting to the ones that I actually want to go through. So now look at
That's a
these,
brand.
Okay.
and there's no color changes, right? So can you guys see the reds on top just a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so you can really see the difference. These are taken no pictures, nothing.
I would guess that the bottom left, actually, those could both be visuals to me.
Okay, and then you've got on the right.
Mm, I think that's a het. I think it's a granite het axanthic. Looks a
I
little.
can't
It
zoom
looks like
in.
it looks to have a little bit more of the yellowish red tone compared to the ones that we just looked at on the left.
Okay,
But it's not quite as red and yellow as the ones above.
yeah. So these two, I consider them marbles. I think they will turn out
Yeah.
to be a marble. I'm going to hold them for a little
Yep.
bit longer. That one
Yeah.
has a good amount. The last one is the same. Has a good amount of black, but has some red. I'm
Yeah.
thinking they're het, and
Yeah.
I think all the middle row is just granites.
Yep.
And the
Yep.
top row, I can't get the right picture. I'm holding back the top two purely because the whites on the side are insane and their colors are
Yeah.
insane. They're just
I
they
I
don't
think
look
it's
like
a great
anything they
idea.
should look like. So anyway,
Yeah.
just a fun clutch to.
I think that's something you could selectively breed for, is like a high white in the neck.
It's so the adult is a lot of people often call them as like hypos in pop ones. The adult is hypo looking. It's in the adult female is insanely pale.
Have you
So it's a
ever bred
very
her to just a normal wild type?
I would if I had normal wild types.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't.
Okay. I'd be
I
curious to see what those babies would come out looking like, because she's a
so
100% het axanthic, correct?
she is yeah. No, that was
Wow.
the male actually. The male is the one that's hypo looking. So he's an
Okay.
unproven head exanthic, which I would say now he's proven head exanthic. Would you not
Yes.
agree?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I'd be really curious to see what he would throw with like a wild caught or a wild type imported or something like that you have know for sure has no other genetics going on, just purely to see what
Yeah.
those babies would look like. Because if he's got something that makes him stand out from other animals, that would be the way to really see if something passes on, whether it's genetic or not. Maybe it's, just simply he's just the best looking version of it, and
Or breed back
therefore,
to the parent.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, figure something out. That'd be cool.
So anyway, that was just a cool little clutch that I got. I'm happy to have at least two Xanthic granites again. Um, honestly, I think it might be the first Xanthic granites that I will put up for sale. Um,
Oh,
purely because, well, actually, no. Shan, you only have a male, eh? He's not even there. All right, we'll wait till he.
I'm here. Sorry, I have to
Okay.
press the button. You tell me to mute all the time, right? So,
I do, man.
I'm not a
Yeah.
quick draw like you are.
I was gonna
So
say
yeah,
you only have a male, right? That I gave you.
yeah, I have a het, granite, um, het
Exanthic.
exanthic granite. Yeah.
Okay, so no, I gave you a marble though.
Yes, but it's
Okay,
a
so
male. But
it's a male.
I need a
So
female.
what that means is if one of those two are females,
But I
I
think you
mean,
should send out one of those white ones on the side to me too at the same time, like same box. You know.
you know
I don't
what?
know.
I'll be honest with you. Chances are you are getting one because I think they're both males.
Nice.
So I wouldn't keep two males of the same thing. That's just not a fun project. But I don't know what the sex are of the two possible marbles. I'd have to go look at them. There probably is a female, but anyway. So that's my interesting popwind carpet project. I don't have any normals or wild type purely because I don't think anybody here really imports wild type, wild popwinds. Like, do you know anybody who does it? I've seen him on the list, and there goes Shan. I've seen him on the list. I probably could, but
Yeah.
they're expensive. Like they're like $400 or $500 to import. When I have a hard time selling a normal is 200 to 300. Selling an exanthic is maybe 350. A granite is 400.
Oof.
So
Ouch.
it makes it tough to import an animal that has no genetics that is going to for more than the animals that have genetics. So I've kind of just my whole collection's always gone down the exanthic granite, and
Sure.
so yeah. You said you had some interesting popwins, right? That you've bred or that you're expecting this year. You want to go down that road?
Yeah, let's see here. I have to look at my list. Okay. So the first clutch that I had this year, I bred this really nice male that I produced in 2019 from some parents that I got as imported farm hatched babies. Raised those up, bred those, got Redman and a few siblings, and he stood out. He was very red, so that's where he earned his name, and he stayed reddest longer than his siblings. I bred him to this female that I got from Outback Reptiles here that gets, imports random stuff, and they posted this female that was like kind of this. She had a nice stripe and had a lot of cool yellow and orange flames coming up the side, like just from a standard pattern and color standpoint, just a really good looking animal. But then she had these random, just black patches. They weren't burns, it wasn't scars, it wasn't scale damage. It was like if somebody took a black dye and just dyed some of the background and just like smudged it. And it was really bizarre. They photographed it nicely so you could see it, and then in person, it just like it's really weird. It's a lot towards the tail. There's some swaths of like just straight gray in there, and just completely like think of a pied but with black. That's kind of like the best way for me to describe what it's doing. But it's the weirdest thing. And so I bred her with that F1 Redman. And so those babies came out looking phenomenal. They have her phenotype in terms of great striping, but they're all this beautiful base red and gold. And then some of them have this gray wash to them, this black sort of hue to them. So I'm keeping that entire clutch just to see how they age up, see what they do. And, if nothing else, they're just exceptional animals. And then let's see. I'm looking at them right now. So in 2021, I produced a clutch from some other um, imports that I had from Dan Malari and kept a pair back that were really dark. And I sent a male to one of my friends, and that male actually ended up um, going almost entirely black. Like it has a little bit of pattern. You can see some of it coming through, but it just unusually black all over. So I have a pair that's related to that. My buddy has that snake that turned black, so I'm going to try and borrow that guy and breed that back in. And so that clutch came out, and those are all really dark. A lot of females in there, so I'm not sure what to do with that stuff. I'll probably keep that whole clutch too, and at least for a while and see what happens. And then, yeah, doing a lot of F2 stuff with high color animals through Redman as well, and just making some exceptional animals that just go like screaming orange and have good stripes, and just trying to push that as far down the line as I can to make really beautiful high colored animals, striped animals, some potentially melanistic animals, and see where those projects take me. So that's the beautiful thing. We can still get, a little bit, get some imports. They're not as, plentiful and affordable as they used to be, but I do have 1.3 wild cots in addition to stuff that I've already bred. So got a lot for the future.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the reason they're not affordable is because of people like you and Eric Burke and all that have been pushing these, like get them, they're the best carpet, they're the best, they're the best, and
Yeah,
I think because of that,
absolutely.
it's increased their value so much anyway for the states. Hasn't done shit
Oh
in
yeah.
Canada, but it's definitely affected your market on your end. I wish it would have
Oh
came
yeah.
to this side because I don't think I've ever not bred pop wins. Like I've had them every year and
Hmm.
they sell, but the normals are harder to sell.
Yeah.
The granites are by far granites move super
Granites
easily.
are the only thing that
Yeah,
really sell.
they
Sorry.
move extremely easily, but the exanthics tough because I'll be honest, I find an exanthic pop one is actually not as nice as a normal. Right, it kind of
Sure.
takes away some of its nice colors.
Sure.
Uh, but if I was to do projects like from wild types and all that, for me, the most important color in popwins that you don't really see in other carpets is the purple.
Mm-hmm.
That purple in the carpets is so incredible, and I never hear of people taking it down the purple route, man. I feel like if you had a popwin with the most intense purples, it's insane. Because think about it, like we don't really have purples in other carpets.
It's true.
And you never hear of people saying like I'm taking it down the purple route, but it's so cool. Like it's one of the nicest colors on the pop-ups, in my opinion. Anyway, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of nice ones,
Yeah.
but the purple just doesn't appear in the other carpets. So that's kind of where I would take it. And then question for you. So you're starting a lot of, I don't know if I should say bloodlines. I'm just going to say new bloodlines, which I really mean by literally just unrelated new stock of new blood. Um, are you planning on having a couple of different new lines with wild caught blood and mixing them together down the road, or are you going to try to take these projects all separately?
Yeah, I would like to have sort of like a very robust, insanely diverse, only wild caught line amongst all the other stuff. And it doesn't have to be like I'd like to, see how far I can take the colors with this one project and see where that goes. But because I also have other wild caught animals, yeah, absolutely. I would love to just make, you know, the most diverse, most robust, most insane, stacked, beautiful, you know, wild type looking Papuan with colors that blows minds. And I'd like to do it in as many different versions as possible. I'd like to have stuff that's high orange, high yellow, striped, banded, very dark. There's some stuff that does like the chocolatey rusty color. I have one of my wild caught females does that purple look to her. She's very like black and lavender with like yellow aberrant banding sort of to her. So I would love to see, you know, every single color of them come out like brown and orange, black and orange, brown and yellow, black and yellow, orange and tan, gray and tan, gray and orange, gray and yellow, lavender and black, lavender or like there's just no end to it. And um, I've had some animals that were farm hatch that I mixed in with Redman. So like he's done some tangents off to the side with some other stuff that's, still wild caught and farm hatch that's producing great colors. So then I'll bring that back in. And yeah, man, there's just no end to it. And because I have, so many different little I mean, if I'm assuming each one of my wild cots is unrelated, that's four different animals right there, plus the red man stuff, plus the other farm hatch stuff. So that's like, potentially six different pools of blood right there to really avoid a lot of genetic bottlenecking down the line and just keep things, going long, keep them beautiful and robust. So uh, aside, the morph projects and whatever else seems to pop out, that is something I'd like to always be doing for sure.
Nice. Shan, if you have questions, just hop on. If not, I'll keep talking. Um, when you get your
Right.
Walcots, do you get them as babies or do you get them like subadults, or what are you looking at? Because I heard you saying assuming they're unrelated, right? I feel like the older the animals you get, the more that assumption is probably more likely. But if you get like
Hmm.
5 neonates, there's a good chance they're all related, right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
the odds are higher. So I'm just curious, how
Yeah.
old are the Walcots when you get them?
I've gotten everything from what I'm assuming is 4 or 5 year old adult males or older to fresh hatched babies that, probably haven't even had a meal or two yet. So, when, 8 to 10 years ago, when Dan was able to bring in 10 to 20 at a time, yeah, he'd buy the whole clutch or something like that. So then for sure they're, more than likely related in siblings. And in fact, Stephen Katz and I are both independently pushing a line of stuff that might, based on some of our discussions, have related origins from that sort of same scenario. Because these projects that we're both sort of independently pushing and seeing have come from some of those imports that I think we got at the same time, so likely related. But then as years have gone on, the supply of wild caught has gone down, and I've been fortunate enough to get my hands on an animal that's like one out of a group of three, or one out of a group of seven, or one from two groups that were put together from two different people brought in at the same time. So like it's gotten harder to source them, and they've gotten more expensive, like you said earlier. And that's again probably because they have the internet in Indonesia and Papua in the jungle. They have, cell phones. They can see exactly what we're talking about and see Morph Market and see our YouTube and everything and hear podcasts and, all that stuff. So absolutely those collectors then inevitably start asking for more, or, they pivot. They decide these, $200, $150 Papuans aren't worth it when people are paying, thousands for green trees, or $900 for scrubs, or whatever it ends up being. And so I don't know if, this shrinking supply is because they're harder to get, not as available, or the collectors have changed their focus. But yeah, I mean, they used to be $100, now they're like $500, and the supply is minimal. So um, I've had better success with the younger animals coming in. I've had adults come in and just not establish well and crash. But yeah, they do really well for the most part. The younger, the better. And yeah, I would say if you're getting, a group and they all look to be the same size, chances are it's probably all clutch mates, whether it's from a farm or wild caught. So yeah.
Nice. By curiosity, do you do anything different on when you get Walcots, except for quarantine? Do you do anything at all? Do you ivermectin them? Do you treat them for mites? Do you treat them for ticks? Do you treat internal parasites, or do you simply put them in a cage, leave them the f alone? Actually, I could swear, leave them the fuck alone, and just like write it out and just quarantine.
I've kind of done a few different things. I've evolved into the less is more approach, but be observant. And so there's a level of stress that these animals endure, and I think they endure it better than some. They definitely handle stress better than, say, adult scrubs or adult chondros or things like that. But they they generally prefer to be left alone initially. They're a little bit traumatized, but when I've gotten stuff from Dan or Stephen Katz, both Dan and Stephen have put in the legwork to at least get them to sit and chill for whether it be a month or several weeks, get multiple meals in, make sure they're eating, and they will do a lot of the treatment that I would do if I were the person to literally unbox them. They do the mite treatment, they do all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Steven does videos on that all the time. I've seen
Hmm.
that. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Front
Yeah.
front
It's
frontline
fantastic.
spray. Yeah, and he
Yeah.
shows you how to do it and everything. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So yeah,
He's been
kind of makes
really
sense.
good about that, showing that, because I think a lot of people are wary about getting
Yes.
imports, and so that's part of his business plan is if if our earlier suppliers aren't getting them as often for no fault of their own, they're just pivoting or doing other things. He decided to take it upon himself to look and see what was going on. He's found a bunch, so he's doing some of that work, and he's had to go through a lot of the headache and trial and error that Dan had to do early on getting established with some of these suppliers. But now he's got some relationships with a few suppliers, and once they're in, he can usually see them ahead of time, get some photographs, but he treats them completely separate, isolates them like a completely different population of animals from his exact population of animals. And he sent me video of how he just, everything is very protocol based. Everything is kept in mind of cross contamination, and he'll do all that stuff so that by the time they're eating and established, I don't need to worry about that stuff unless I see something down the line. Now, I don't expect him to wave a magic wand and make sure everything internally is perfect on these animals. So once they come to me, I'll keep an eye on them. I'll make sure they're feeding and check their feces, make sure I don't see any worms, anything out of the ordinary, no regurg, nothing like that. But to be completely honest, I have had such a great time with wild caught and imported Papuans that I have not had a fraction of the horror stories that you can get with other species. And I do attribute a lot of that to the people involved in bringing the animals, not just that the animals themselves are hardy, but Dan and Stephen do a great job.
I agree. I've seen his protocol, and it's spot on. It's good,
Yeah.
right? And I've seen his video. That was a long time ago too. Like his videos on how he takes care of any animals that come um, into his establishment or into his collection, and with gloves and nice and easy. It's not invasive, and the animal, it's it's actually really easy, right? And I thought you were gonna mention that a lot of people. So I think now it's banned, frontline spray. So I don't know
Yeah,
if he uses
you
it.
can't
I don't
get
know
it
if
in
he
the
uses
US
any.
anymore. If he's
Yeah,
got like a stock hold that he's been sitting on, that might be it. But then the big thing that people are getting now is NexGard, and getting prescriptions from their vets to
oh really?
give, like, it's an oral supplement that kills all parasites because it affects them through the bloodstream. So any external parasites that are going to be trying to get into their bloodstream are just instantly killed, and then it stays good in their system for, I want to say, 6 months to a year. So I know a lot of people have started going in and getting prescriptions of that. I don't think it's very cheap, but I think it's a great preventative for the people who either do lots of imports or do lots of shows, because then you know that any parasites that come in contact with your snake are dead as soon as they try and feed on them.
True. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. We use ivermectin here. That's for at least the out external parasites. Works great.
Yeah,
You
I've
can
What
use
do
it
used
you
for
that.
think,
internal
Dom?
too. I was
Hmm.
gonna say you
Yeah,
can use it for internal and
you
external,
can.
but we
You
don't do
can.
wild caught, so we've never
Yeah,
needed to. Um,
I've
I
needed. Yeah,
I
I've
love
never needed to.
ivermectin for mites. I think it's the cheapest, easiest way to apply. It's amazing. Like I don't even like
Yeah.
I look at all the other ways that people do it, man. Like to me, it's the best. But again, I haven't had mites in a long time. I haven't had
Hmm.
mites since I when I go to reptile shows now. I take my clothes off, take a shower, clean that clothes, and don't go in my reptile room for the day of. I've noticed that I never have mites now. Before, I'd have mites 2 weeks after every reptile show, but I've learned. So it's been a couple of years. Talking about Steve Katz, I did actually reach out to him because I know Shan wanted him to come on, and he
Did
chatted.
he reach back?
Yeah, he did. He said that he'd be up to come in a couple of weeks
Okay.
after things settle down, but I don't know, man. Like sometimes people say that, and it
So you
never
need to
happens.
tell
So
me that because I reached out to him tonight and he hasn't answered me back. But I'm
I'll
like,
I'll push him
maybe
for
the.
you guys.
Oh, there you
I'll
go.
I'll,
all
nudge
right,
I'll nudge him a little bit. He's a really good friend of mine, and I know he's been
Awesome.
busy
okay,
doing a big
Yeah.
overhaul on his reptile room. Some
nice.
like a full cage overhaul, like, yeah, like hardcore. So he's been burning the candle at both ends, making sure, his priority is wife and kids are still getting the same amount of time, and then he's up, late doing that. So he's a great guy. You definitely want to have him on. The way he thinks about things is uh is something to be admired, and we both, have a shared influence in the late Todd Dyer, who really formulated how we keep and think. So anytime I hear him talking on podcasts, I'm thinking about his thought process and how he got there, and it's so relatable to me because I knew Todd very closely. And so yeah, you definitely want to have him on. He's a wealth of knowledge.
Well, yeah, if you can push him, get him to go on when he's ready. But if anything,
Absolutely.
even talking about overhauling and changing all your caging, that's a huge thing, right? So I'm
Oh yeah.
curious when people do that. Like, I think I'd have a hard time changing all my cages. I'm so used to my own thing. But if for somehow I had unlimited funds, I probably would rebuild everything to perfect specs. Can you imagine, man, having
Oh
like,
yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah.
But
Hit all your ticks, like everything matches. All the stuff that really doesn't affect like the animals, they don't care, but you do.
hey, we can dream, right?
Yeah, goals.
Uh, nice. Shan, anything else you want to talk about that subject before we jump into jungles?
No, I'm looking forward to the jungle talk actually.
Okay.
So yeah,
So
it's good.
before we go to the jungle talk, I'm going to show just one animal only because I had. What's like what? Look at that. I'm thinking I'm pressing screen share and I pressed my freaking turned off my camera. Okay, just guys, just look at this one, just because this is one of the animals I recently posted. I haven't had this amount of reply back. So that's my
Yep.
beautiful. Can you guys see it?
That is
Mm-hmm.
amazing looking
So
diamond.
that's my girl Diamond. She's freaking gorgeous, and I tried to breed her this year, but again, I think she was 3.5 for the season. So realistically, I knew she wasn't going to go, but it didn't change that I wanted to put her through the cycle and everything, and put the male in there, but nothing happened. But one day I'm hoping this girl goes. Freak man, I've
She's
had
stellar.
so many replies on this thing. It was quite surprising.
Yeah.
Um, so Riley, you want to go down the jungle route? So talk to me about your jungles and your specific project that you know what we're going to talk about. And yeah, you take the reins, man. Go for it. We'll join in.
Yeah. So when I was getting into jungles and finally decided I was going to start buying some and work those projects, like, I don't know, 11, 12 years ago when I bought my first one, I was like, okay, we're doing this. I knew that I didn't want to follow the same trajectory that everyone else does. And I mean, that's kind of how I approach everything. But I was, very much entrenched into NPR and listening to everything that, was going on Morelia Python radio. And one thing that stood out was that a lot of people in the jungle game were going for banded jungles. And it was kind of a matter of like tipping or no tipping, funky or not, like clean, like there was some preferences, but it was all kind of homogenous in my eyes. And so I wanted to do something different. So I bought a female from Todd at Psychotic Exotics when they were still around that stood out, was really different. And she grew up to be a phenomenal animal that had some striping sections, but also some just very unique aberrant patterns and just a standout animal. And so I knew I wanted to do something different with her. I saw that there were some sections on her back that were linked like it was striping, like as I say, it wanted to be striped. And so I went out of my way to find the right male for her, and I ended up getting a male striped ivory Van Deventer animal that had a phenomenal stripe, but was lacking in color. And so it's like, okay, what she has in color and this guy has in stripes, we'll combine those two, and this will be a great starting point. And it was. I got lucky enough to have a clutch with them and kept 1.2 very striped animals from that pairing. The best stripes and the best looking color. And fast forward, four, I think it was like 4 years. I finally bred the male to both females, and both females took, and I ended up getting a big surprise because I was aiming for improving the striping and trying to see if I could select babies that would then also sort of start creating some lateral striping with the eventual goal creating a tri-striped jungle. Like think of the best Balin tiger, but black and yellow. And so that was kind of the first step. And what I got was a bunch of animals with um, weird circles all over them, some striping, but not a ton of striping. And I kind of collectively looked at the group, and it like the majority of them had some weird like sections of dorsal striping and like spots on the side. So I went and looked back at the parents, and I realized because I was so focused on the stripe on top that I didn't really pay attention to their flank markings, and they all had various either like triangles with a little black smudge in the middle or full blown like rosettes on the side down. I was like, okay, maybe it's just more of this. I did the next season one more of those pairings. The one of them took, the other one didn't, and I got a small clutch that had kind of the same results. And so I was like, okay, that wasn't a fluke. There's something to it. That animal up there is the highest expression sort of circles and stripes and color for that matter. And so that was what really got me thinking that there was more to this gene pool that I was working with other than the
Let me
stripes.
know if you want me to move through the
Uh,
pictures. If not, I'll just leave it at that and let you talk.
sure. Yeah, whatever you feel like doing. If you want to scroll through them periodically, that's cool too. And I can, kind of just pop that in with as we're going along. But this animal was from the very first season of them. And then this current season would have been the third year in a row trying to figure out and do more test breeding. And so I took each of those three founder animals, as I'm calling them, those striped jungles, and bred them to unrelated animals to see if I would get even slightly similar results. And one of the animals I bred to a zebra and got the craziest looking, you know, super busy, super drippy, wild, aberrant, circular patterned zebras all over. And so
Could
going
I
back and
stop you
looking
for
at the
just one
collective
second,
results.
Riley? That picture that's on there,
Mhm.
that is not a zebra, right? That is just a regular
Correct.
ocelot. For an ocelot with
Correct.
no zebra, that is crazy busy. Like, I'm really
Yeah.
surprised by how high expression it is. I don't even think, Shan, that
Yeah.
we have normal, like, just ocelots with no zebra that are that high expression. Our zebras are crazy high expression, but not our ocelots.
I have
Yeah.
a
And I think I have the same thing. I don't have too many that are like that.
yeah, I agreed. I have a few that I kept probably a 2025 that has some nice stuff like that, but not usually that crazy.
The zebra clutch was the clutch this year that really like answered it for me. Um, because you can get some results if you do the same pairing a few times in a row, but until you like throw some completely unrelated animal in there, there's another one. I'm pretty sure that's one of the females from the first year. That girl's insane. Um, so the pairings that I did this year with unrelated animals, I got not as many, but I still got some of those ocelot markings. A lot of the what I call like those side like bow ties. You can really see them on the back half of that animal, where it's like those flank markings really want to be like striped, like they're almost linking, like they're compressing into a brick or a bar on the side. Um, and so I was getting a lot of like the middle expression, mid to low expression animals, and then even some of the so I bred a couple of the ocelot females to some like very heavily line bred jungles, and so it's diluting the ocelots. But even still, I still got a few of those markers in there that show me it's passing through. And so yeah, this one right here is a male that is starting to go really like pale, and I'm wondering if that's like the ivory blood from that original male that I bred to the female, that ivory Vanderveer male. I wonder if just a little bit of that ivory blood is just kind of peeking through there. And so he really stands out. That's a nice looking boy.
So my experience with the ocelot is what the ocelot breaks the side patterns, which really amplifies the striping, right? Which is what I'm
Yeah.
also noticing with you. It's almost a shortcut to having nice striped jungles, right? Like
Hmm.
let's be honest, it by breaking all the bands and creating circles on the side, the
Yeah.
pattern stays on the back and gives you almost like that jag perfect back, right? Or that
Yeah.
nice striping. So it's kind of cool. So I'll let you keep finishing that. After that, I know we've had a bit of talks offline there, but I want you to go into what you think the ocelot is genetically, because I want to hear your
Hmm.
thought on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because you have your what I refer to in conversation is like the Canadian line of ocelots. And then there's, this that I'm producing as we speak. So the first the first clutch, when I look back at it from 3 years ago, I got a couple that are high expression, a couple that are little to no expression, and a chunk that are somewhere in the middle where they have, a handful of good ocelots and no striping, or really good striping and only a couple ocelots. So they're not like lacking either or, but there's kind of a mid-level of both. And then the next year, the small clutch of them, kind of the same thing, mostly fitting in the middle as far as mid to low expression. And then when I outcrossed them, the two that just went to unrelated striped animals, I got low expression, which is what I expected because they went to extremely line bred, gorgeous, heavy black, striped jungles. So it was going to really put that genetic sort of work to the test if it was going to express, if it's a genetic. But the zebra pairing was what really, ironed it out and hammered it home for me, because there were a couple animals that were non-zebras in there that uh, one in particular I might keep just because it's just like a phenomenal stripe with just beautiful boom 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 perfect spots all the way down the side, and it's just I can see the future of that animal and it's going to be bright. Um, but then the zebras, extremely high expression, like they look like something out of like, a 70s kaleidoscope artwork where the bands and the circles in it are all like wavy and trippy and drippy, something out of like a Led Zeppelin sort of like album cover art. And they're going to be so insane. I cannot wait for them to color up and shed a few times, because they're just packing full of all these circle spots on the side. And it's like I've produced zebras that have circles that aren't ocelot stuff, and I just know that zebra is itself a little bit variable, but I've never seen anything like these ones. And so it was the proof that I needed to convince me that there's something going on here. And so then when I looked at everything cumulatively, a few low end results, a handful of high end results, but a lot of stuff in the middle, and there's no like lacking or everything. There was no black or white. It's kind of a lot of gray area to me after 3 years and one, two, three, four, six clutches of them. To me, it pretty much seems unmistakably polygenic. Um, so that for people who are familiar with like the tiger, the Balin tiger and coastals, for example, if you take the nicest Balin tiger and breed it to like a Brisbane coastal that has blotches and bands and no striping, you're gonna get what is called a bell curve of expression. You might get one or two high-end looking striped animals close to as good as that male, and you'll probably get a few that look like non-banded animals, like the Brisbane, and then you'll get some in the middle that make up the bulk of the clutch that have varying degrees of moderate striping. And so the behavior of that bit of polygenic work just lines up perfectly with everything that I've been seeing over the last 3 years with this project.
All right, so before I'm going to say this animal is gorgeous, and I stop it on this one, and I was beside you right now, you'd probably slap me in the face for what I'm about to say. But doesn't that kind of look like a ball python? Look at the bottom part. Do you see it or not?
Yes. So it's funny that you say that
I
because
could
a friend of
swear,
mine,
man.
yeah, no, it's funny that you say that. A friend of mine, Christian Parr, who is another jungle connoisseur, will say he's got a great eye for some cool stuff. He loves the MIA line of jungles that we got now, and he produced a clutch from an MIA to a Lazic animal, and got some funky, weird ocelot stuff in it. He was thinking of this project when this animal produced or hatched out, and so he sent it to me. And now every time I look at it, it looks to me like a pastel leopard ball python. So I see it. So some of these ones here, these are actually what I was really, well, I don't say I'm not more or less excited about one or the other, but these things excite me just as much as the ocelot because that section right behind that neck coil where it's really striped there and the sides are really bright and clean, that was what I was hoping for before I had any vision of ocelot stuff on the board. I was really hoping to start putting the pieces together to make those side stripes. And there are some in that first year that have those that are going to be instrumental in carrying it through to that way or in that direction. This is one of those
That one's nice.
zebras. Yeah, that was the one of the first ones out that shed out, and that thing just made my jaw drop. I just don't know what to say about it, other than it's got like 8s and A's and B's and O's and all sorts of donuts all over it. It's the craziest looking thing. Yeah, that I just can't wait for that thing to grow up and color up and shed, and it's just wild.
So we're going to talk about whether we have the same line or not.
Mhm.
And when we show you ours, you're going to, I honestly, I'm thinking we don't. I'm thinking they're different because your animals look very different than our animals.
They're
They
not
have the
one.
same, they have the same
can't.
defining features. Well, you're saying they can't be Shan, but Riley and I have found a link through the first Favela
Yeah.
animals that he could have gotten Favela animals from my babies, from the original female that seems to have
Really,
popped
eh?
everything out. So,
Yeah,
but
so
Okay.
yeah, so I bought a zebra like 10 years ago that came from Dawn, and after talking with Dom here, we believe it was probably one that Dom wholesaled to Don Patterson and sent to the States. And that animal I bred to a zebra that I got from Stephen Katz, produced super zebras, and then that super zebra this year I bred to an unrelated banded animal and got a surprise when I got some beautiful zebras that came out that looked like they had ocelots and florets on them. I was like, wait a minute, are these related to mine? And then after doing some digging, I realized no, they come from, the grandmother of the clutch is a Don Patterson zebra. And after doing some talking with Dom, we believe it's probably one of his. And so then I started going down the rabbit hole of, wait a minute, do I have this Canadian line of ocelots? Have I been sitting on this Canadian line of ocelots? But after a few more have come out and shed out, I think it's just a natural variation of some beautiful zebras. But those are not these ones. These are the ones.
See, that one looks a lot like the stuff that I put out. The one that you just showed,
Yeah.
Dom. That one there.
Yeah.
That one,
So
I could
that
say
one
we
is
have some
different.
of those.
Yeah, those are
That one's
from
nice.
the stuff that's been popping up that I've been doing the test breeding out of the last few years. So that was from one of my founding striped jungle females that is the ocelot producer, bred to unrelated, real heavy black zebra that has no circles to him whatsoever.
So my thinking is, if you ended up getting it, if the gene came from that original animal 2 or 3 generations ago, it's possible. And then because it went to an unrelated, different looking jungle, to an unrelated, different looking jungle, do you get what I mean? Because if you said you went to a zebra, then to a super zebra, so now you've mixed in 50% different blood, then you've mixed in another. So you ended up with only 25% maybe of the original female in that one snake that was then mixed with another female that is completely unrelated. So you ended up with 12.5% blood from the original female from Dawn, or that would have been from me. So is
Right.
it possible it's the same gene? 100%. Because you might have carried the gene slowly
Right.
through, but you've got so much your jungle lines are so different than ours that
Yep.
you have the same gene but a different look because you took it to completely different animals that aren't related whatsoever to ours, right? That's my
Right.
thinking.
And
So it could be, it might not be, but it could be.
but just to clarify, that trajectory from the zebra that I got, that was a Don Patterson zebra, is that whole trajectory leading to those ones that I thought were yours are, it's a completely different set of breedings than the stuff that the Ivory Van Vander and the Psychotic then produced those 1.2 stripes that then produced all the slots for a few years that I then outcrossed. That's separate from.
So you're thinking you have two different, they popped out in two different, completely unrelated animals?
It would be extremely crazy odds, but there was a moment where I was thinking, do I have two separate lines of it? Because when you and I started talking about that super zebra bred to this rogue reptiles jungle, that is separate from those pictures that we were looking at. That is, I didn't send a single photo of any of that stuff actually. So that's the interesting part because
So
I'll be the first to say, you got to do the test breeding to prove it out because these are extremely variable animals, and then the morphs on top of them are extremely variable, so it's exponentially more variable. But yeah, I digress.
So Shan and I have been breeding these for. I right now have 4 generations of ocelots. So I have the grandmother, I have the daughter that is now a grandmother that has. So the mother was normal. I now have. After that, it was a zebra ocelot. That zebra ocelot has created super zebras, and I have babies. So I think I have 4 generations of ocelots, and in each of those, we've created like so many pairings. So I have a different outlook on what I think the genetic is than you,
Mm,
but we're obviously going to go through it.
yep.
But before that, Shan, you sent me some pictures. I want to show a couple of pictures just to show what I think the variation is in our looks. Just the kind of. So Shan, you good if I share your
Absolutely.
stuff? Maybe you can talk about what it is that you
So,
sent me while I
so
pull it
I,
up.
so I have the same thing as you, Dom, where I have your male that you originally had. I think the NBK male, the NBK zebra male, 2017. And then I have Bonnie, which is the second generation, and then I have one of the females that I sent you a picture of that I sent you, probably one of the last ones. It's striped jungle with it's got some ocelot. Not that one. That
That's the
was way
first.
that was the
That's the
first.
first picture you sent me. Isn't that a marble? That's not even a jungle.
Okay, so
No,
how
that's a
about we
marble.
catch up with the okay. Can you catch up with the conversation though? There's other
Wow.
emails. Guaranteed I sent you more.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Come on, man. So go to the last one. So that's an ivory from this year. That's my ivory female from this year.
Do you want me to go to the last email?
Yeah, yes. Go to the last email.
Ooh,
That one there. So Bonnie made this animal. So this is the third generation. I tried to breed her last year and she didn't go. But you see how I thought she had a whole lot of stripe, but then she does have the ocelot pattern there,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um,
It looks like she
yeah.
got
And you
black
can tell
Cheerios just connected all the way down.
it's doing the same type of idea as yours, right? I think the ocelots aren't perfectly circled in most of the places, but you can see
No.
that there's a dot bullseye in the middle, and you can see that it creates the dorsal line also in the back. So that's why,
Hmm.
to me, it seems like the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's just the jungle, right? Then you have the zebra, which I've sent you other pictures there, Dom, earlier. The first one.
Let's see what this one is.
So yeah, so this is one of the babies this year.
That's
That's
crazy.
that's from the German line one, Dom. And actually, the female doesn't really have uh, a whole lot of oscil like the ocelot pattern. She's very zebra. The 50% German female there, but I bred her to basically one of Bonnie's babies, which is an ocelot zebra, and that's what I got this year. It's just crazy, the pattern. So this
Whoa,
is this is a crazy one. So this is our
that's
zebras.
nuts.
That's our zebras. And that's not even the best one.
Whoa, it's way more organized.
Uh, I
Wow.
find it has more like kind of the
Yeah,
bullseye looking kind of to it.
dude, that's so
So
cool.
so I think so that's some of the babies. I find some are even more
Oh yeah,
heavily
there's
patterned. I'll show you some of the original adults, and you can kind of take a look at what you think. I think I'm gonna have to screen share my. So
Bonnie's
you guys can
amazing.
keep.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a picture of your Bonnie, but I'll show mine because there's still your Bonnie is cool because the pattern is broken up but still has it. Let me do screen share of my Facebook. I apologize if you guys see shit you're not supposed to see on there. Did that work? Let's see what you're seeing. What are you guys seeing right now? You seeing Shan's conversation? Or can you guys see that animal?
Oh yeah, that thing's
So
crazy.
so that one was one of the breedings where um, we took the Favel line of animals, which is the same lines that you probably got from for one of your lines, but put it into a completely unrelated test pairing, which was a German line. So I knew if I took one of those animals and we bred to a pure wild type German line jungle, that it'd be an interesting thing. So we did that and got ocelot zebras that are 50% zebra, so 50% of the bloodline of German. And that kind of gives you an idea. But you see, I don't know how to describe it. Like the pattern is a lot. I don't know. Are yours that busy?
Ah, yeah. I mean, yours look way like more like there's like regions. There's like four like regions where all the ocelots are packed in. It just looks like there's a lot busier, smaller ones and some stripes in there. I feel like the ones that I've been popping out don't have that level of busyness. I think it's a little more spread out, and then they also kind of do this wavy stuff through the top to bottom, whereas like it's not as those ones you guys are producing almost look like they have a really powerful striping organization through that. It really wants to like not only pattern stripe but also organize those spots into like four stripes of spots. That's just the craziest looking organization. That's cool. It's totally different, but at the same time, I see so many similarities there. Like I just can't wait for these things to grow up, man. It's hard to look at them on such a small canvas and sort of like really decipher. And but when they're bigger, yeah, I
Okay,
don't know,
so
man.
I'm going to put Shan on the spot, and I'm going to ask Shan, what do you think genetically is going on? And then I'll answer after. What I think, just to see if we have three different outlooks. Shan's done a lot of test pairing as well, and I don't
What do
know.
you mean exactly what's going
So, do
on?
you think it's polygenic? Do you think it's recessive? Do you think it's incomplete dominant? What are you thinking happens?
I think it's a little bit polygenic for sure. Uh, I don't think it's recessive because I've put animals that don't have anything and I still somewhat see it. So depending on how busy the pattern is, like the the babies out of that or the hatchlings out of that will have some type of I would say polygenic. I don't know. That would be my thing. Line breeding is a big thing with that too. I would say so. Yeah, I don't know.
Fair enough.
I,
So you've got the same idea as Riley. I don't think it's that, but I'll tell you why after. So let me just share. Here's some.
so
This is one of the females on eggs. You can kind of see a bit of her similar pattern. You guys can see that?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think she's actually in the process of laying in that one. I have another
Yeah.
one a little bit higher. Another one where you can see really the clear patterns on
Hmm.
there.
Oh yeah.
Um, so here's my thinking. So we have done, I don't know, I couldn't even tell you how many pairings we've done. Like we've done, what do you think, Shan, together with Ocelot, we've done at least 25 breedings. I wouldn't be
absolutely.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
I
So
s- I sent you that picture of the 50% female on eggs there, German line, and
Okay,
see
so
what you think of that.
you want me to do that now?
Well, whatever. Whenever you get a chance, pop onto it.
Okay, I'm
Because
going to keep talking while I see
sure,
that. So
go
here's
for
my
it.
thinking. So I'll tell you a couple of the pairings, Shan, not Shan, Riley, that we've done, and you tell me after that what you think it is. So we've tried pairing ocelot zebra to ocelot zebra. Every single baby has ocelot except the super zebras. We can't see it. It's
Sure.
patternless.
Sure.
There is nothing that is not ocelot ever. And we've done that pairing how many times, Shan? Like over
Lots.
10 to 15 pairings. I've been ocelot zebra to ocelot zebra. Now, if you were to breed a tiger to a tiger, you will occasionally get a banded animal. I don't care what people say. You will occasionally get one. Okay. Will they be 90% all perfect tiger? Yes. We have never, ever gotten a non crazy pattern ocelot zebra. Every single one of them. So that's one of the indication that tells me not polygenic. Okay. So second, another, because it should have happened. Like with all the pairings, like you look at all the ones that you've done this year, Shan, I bet you don't have one that is not ocelot zebra in there. Because you've done ocelot zebra, I think. So then, sorry, go for it.
I did. Well, that German female with
Yep.
Bonnie's baby, and there's a few. So that's the crazy thing. I think if I took that baby and I brought it up to full size, full breeding age, and I bred it, I bet you it would have ocelotted pattern. Very low percentage, but it would have some. See, this one doesn't have as much. It still does, just not as much. And that
To me, that
I did have a few babies, Dom, that were just I consider them just jungles. I don't want to like because they're going to the import porter. I'm not gonna like. It's got one dot on it. It's automatically an ocelot jungle.
What do you think, Riley? Would you still say there's ocelots in there?
I mean, that's the thing though. Like I have zebras that I know are not or pretty sure not ocelots that have way
That
way
are.
bigger circles than that looking there, and I wouldn't call them ocelots because they don't come from any line. So I don't know.
I think that's a low. I would say that's a low expression.
It just does what it doesn't have that the other ones have immediately stand out is the organization of like the four quadrants. Like if you were to look at a cross section of that snake and say, okay, this quadrant is a pattern zone, this is a pattern zone, this is a pattern zone, and this is a pattern zone. On your really high expression animals, there's like blown out like crazy chains of ocelots defined and separated in those four quadrants, and it almost seems like there's a stripe separating them. This animal, the pattern looks more homogeneous around those quadrants. It doesn't seem like there's any dividing line dorsally or right along the side to separate any organization of the pattern. So I see the ocelot, the sort of tight markings and the circles in there, but the organization is completely different. Like it's way busier and it just doesn't play by the rules of the other ones that I've seen. And maybe that's because it's the 50%
It's
German blood in there.
50% unrelated to a banded
Right.
animal with nothing at all, right? So that was
Right.
So getting back
So,
to
yeah,
what I
could
think
be.
is low expression and high expression animals is what
Mhm.
I think is a good thing. Like Dom had mentioned that a few minutes ago. And
Yeah.
I think like some have very low expression. I still think they're ocelot.
Uh-huh.
Like even some like barely have anything on them, but I really think if you bred it to either another ocelot or whatever, I think you would get some pattern in there. Probably low, because
Mhm.
obviously if you take the two highest ones and you breed it, I think you would have a very high.
Yeah.
all right. So
Interesting.
here's my take on it.
So
There's definitely polygenic, 100%. There's no question. And I'm breeding for crazy, busy, very high expression ocelots because that's all we've ever kept. And it's what we've bred back. And in 3 or 4 generations, there's no doubt about the fact that we've increased that. But
Mhm.
my opinion, I think it's incomplete dominant. And here is why. Because if you breed a zebra ocelot to a German female. Okay, so a German unrelated wild type. And I've done that pairing, 3 times, I think now? 3 times. I get normals, wild types with no ocelot. I get ocelots. I get zebras, and I get zebra ocelots. I get all 4 different types. So, and I get them in a very close to 50-50 of each. So I would have 25 of each of those. And I've done that pairing about 3 times now. That female has since died. So I can't do, because I don't have a pure wild type zebra. I do have now 50% Germans that I've been breeding back, but I've gotten every single one.
What do the normal jungles look like in those situations?
Banded. That female was extremely so. My female, most Germans, when you see them, they're like the really typical wide band yellow, wild band black. So they look very similar to the mother. Nothing like they're pretty animals. They have a much deeper yellow. They have really good colors. So that my idea was the German produces really nice deep yellows. I wanted to bring that in. And I wanted the Favela line to have the ocelot zebra, bring those 2 in together, and then try to add more German blood with the ocelot zebra. Unfortunately, my female died, so I couldn't breed her back to try to up it to 75%. Now I need to try to find another wild type looking German line.
My curiosity in that question stems from some discussion with you and a few other people, but I was wondering if the normal jungle, by any chance, if they had any patterns on the sides that did any of the lateral bars that I was seeing in the really low expression stuff on mine at all.
You're talking about the German female?
So when you did the clutch that you said was ocelot to German, and you got some normals, some ocelot, or no, it's the ocelot zebra to German, excuse me, and you got like the 4 different types that you said. The normals, I'm curious if those had any pattern resemblance to what I am seeing or thinking is like the low expression stuff on my end. But if they're banded, probably not.
So I would say they're banded. I'm looking right now through some pictures to see if I can find something to try to help me out. No, that's okay. Here you go. At least I'll share this one so I can kind of show you a little bit more. So this is the original German female that we bred out. It's not the greatest picture. No, 1 second. Look at that. I freaking turned off my camera again instead of sharing them. I'm a freaking genius. So you should see it now. So that gives you an idea of what the original German female looked like. So there is literally, like, there's no question. There's no ocelot. It's a banding. There's no striping, nothing like that.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. Beautiful.
So we've taken her and tried to, that was the female that I've really, I've tried to breed her into almost everything, to bring her dark black and yellow into everything. She's a really old female, by the way. So a lot of people often are like, well, it doesn't look that pretty, but when an animal's 12, 13, 14, and they still look like that, trust me, it's gorgeous.
That's a trophy at 15 years.
So she's really old, and I just found, so this is the original Favela line animals that produced a lot of it. So it kind of gives you an idea of what she looks like. And this is a beautiful disaster clutch. This is a female that, again, is, I don't know, I think she's a teen. And she has produced more babies than just about any snake in my collection. She was the one producing clutches of 40 for the first 3 to 4 years. Right. She was producing ridiculous amount of numbers. But again, there is no ocelot pattern in her. There is nothing. Like, she's a little bit broken up on the side, but overall I would describe her as a banded jungle-ish type with some, white tipping in her black. So not the perfect. And then I'm going to go somewhere. I'm trying to find the one male. I don't know if I have him anywhere. You can kind of see. So these are like, I don't know. We haven't talked about super zebras, but these are some of the super zebras that they've produced. Just gorgeous little.
Nice.
So like this would be what I would consider a super zebra ocelot, but I can't prove that there's ocelot in them.
Yeah. What do you do
I,
until you breed them, right?
I don't know, but we have a lot of adult super zebras that came from two ocelot zebra pairings from two
Nice.
parents. So my assumption is that the ocelot is in this snake,
Sure.
but until I breed it out to a completely unrelated animal, we won't know. But I'm assuming it's there. Like I feel like it's a fair bet to think that it's there.
Especially with all your other results, it sort of would align with that.
And I'll do this as a last picture again. So this shows you, this was one of the main pairings I've done very often. I've done this pairing 3 or 4 times. The male has got a lot more of a bluish tint, which is weird. And the female, but you can look at the patterns, like it's really well organized. You see really those. Anyway,
they complement each other very nicely.
Anyway,
yeah, so that's a great pair.
So going back, I'm thinking that there's definitely a polygenic aspect, but when I'm breeding busy, like these are the ones I've bred and held back a lot of. This was from the original. These are 2 of the original ones from generation 1. And I've bred those and held back their babies too, and so on and so on. So I think I'm breeding for very busy ocelot zebras. I think that's kind of where we're going with like the clean and that type of idea. So I'm thinking it's incomplete dominant because every pairing I've done with incomplete dominant, it really seems to only produce either in the 50-50 to an unrelated, or if it is related, I'm wondering if my ocelots are now double alleled animals. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, it's like if we said incomplete dominant on a hypo, a hypo still looks, whether it's got 2 genes or 1 gene, it might be brighter, but it's still a hypo. The 1 gene is still a hypo, and some will have higher expression, some will have lower. I am wondering if I'm at the point where, because I've done them so many times, the super form doesn't necessarily look like something different. Like a zebra and a super zebra are 2 completely different phenotypes. What if the super form of an ocelot is just an ocelot that's busier technically, or that has a higher outcome? So this is where my brain is going. I just, the 2 pairings I haven't done is I haven't paired super zebras to normals, which I would need to. It took me a long time to get there. I could have this year. For some reason, my super zebra male died while I moved this year, right before breeding. So that ruined everything. And the other pairing that we haven't done is breed an ocelot to anything else, to normal, only purely because at first we didn't care about the ocelots, or we actually failed to recognize that we had ocelots in the normals, which is just because it just looked like, a different pattern and whatever. And it took us a couple of years to realize, holy shit, like even the normals have a different pattern, not just the zebras. Because when we popped out the zebras, it's obvious, right? Like, you're like looking at this isn't normal. So, but I think, Shan, don't you have ocelots breeding? Or you're doing that pairing this year, right?
Ocelot.
Just a normal ocelot with no zebra in it.
I tried this year. She didn't go. That was that female that I showed you.
Okay, and so what did you breed her to?
I was breeding her to I was actually going to breed her to an ocelot zebra male.
Yeah, so that wouldn't prove anything.
It wouldn't have proved anything. It wouldn't have proved anything. I've just breeding her. Going on supers, if we can talk about that for a little bit. So there was about 2 months ago, there was a picture that you had posted online, Riley, of a female, and we had a discussion, and we were like, Dom said, rare occasion that you see a female super zebra sitting on eggs, right? And I saw the comment you said. I didn't answer it, and I didn't mean not to answer it or anything.
What was your comment? I got to know now.
So he was like, "Well, I took it myself. I basically hatched this baby. I bred it. I took my time on it. I actually have it. I screenshot what you said and everything, and you took all the time, and that's why you think that you had success with it."
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that comment. The thing is I really feel supers have uh, a bad luck to start right off the bat, right? So first things I feel
It's not even bad luck, man. It's congenital defects,
well,
which we can
okay,
go into after. But
however
keep
you want
going.
to say it. They already have a ticket that's not good. So basically, the eggs die. I've had uh, 2 or 3 weeks before they hatch. Sometimes super zebras. I've opened them up, and there they are in the egg, and
Yep.
they die.
Yep.
Then they come out of the egg, and they either have a kink tail or a kink body, or I've had a heart sticking pretty much out of their body.
Yep.
You name it, right? And
Yep.
then now, let's say you have a perfect male or female. You bring it up to size, right? And then that's pretty rare. I had 2 females, and then they got major RIs, and I lost them both the year that they were ready to go to. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah, not good. So yes, I do agree that I still think though they just got a bad. They don't do well, right?
Yeah.
I have a male right now. He didn't breed this year. He's a little too small. He's great shape. He's got perfect tail. He's awesome. It's actually the one that Dom gave me one like a few years back, and he's
Nice.
perfect.
Yeah, I think
Maybe a little shorter tail. Sorry.
I sort of compartmentalize them similar to Jags in that like you'll get some that are pretty much perfect. You can't say for sure internally that they're perfect. You know that there might be a little something off, but otherwise they'll exist perfectly. And then there are a few that need to be limped along. And then there are some that just are not gonna do well. From the moment they hatch, you can just tell. And those are rare, but it happens. But yeah, I don't know. I do think there is some sort of, like you were saying, congenital issues that just kind of, without doing a lot of outcrossing, seems to really be a strong component of the super zebra, or at least makes it so that when you're working with super zebra or breeding zebras, you're more likely to run into some sort of a kinking or an issue with fecundity in a small way. But yeah, it's just, I mean, we know when you go down the line with homogeneity in genes, inevitably you will run into deleterious, genes that cause issues. But yeah, it's just interesting how like within a clutch you'll get some that are perfect and some that are not, some that'll thrive, some that won't even hatch, um, and then some that do perfectly and then one day just roll on you. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have it figured out by any means. I just think some do great and some don't, and I think you're probably right too. You're probably more right than I am. Is that it's more of the, did they get the best combination of that genetic hand for their life, or did they get kind of shafted in that realm, and then how long does it take for that to cause their demise or something?
Yeah, so I'll spit out my thoughts. So the reason I said I think it's a rare sight, and it's a sight that I almost never see, I think is the same reason that seeing a jag female on eggs is not something that's done often. Can they do it? Of course. You still don't see it that often. Now,
Yeah.
when it comes to super zebras, number one, not a lot of people breed for super zebras.
Yeah,
Number
big time.
almost nobody does.
Yeah.
So because almost nobody does, you're going to have less. The second thing is, so we have done ocelot zebra to ocelot zebra so many times. My 2 jungle clutches are ocelot zebra to ocelot zebra. Okay, so both of mine are that this year. I Shan's might be as well. So it gives you an idea. Like we do it if we have 4 clutches of zebra to zebra, we should have a quarter of all our clutches be super zebras. We have done this pairing very often. In my opinion, about 50% of the super zebras will die or will be euthanized. I think that is probably the most, like, from all the ones we've done, they're either dead in egg, they're either crazy kinked, or they come out of the egg and you're like, God damn it. Like, it looks perfect with just one 90-degree kink at the end of the tail or one little imperfection. That being said, we have produced a good amount perfect visual zebras. And when I say perfect visual zebras, they are not. The one thing that no super zebra, and I bet you if you went, you probably could confirm it, their tails are shorter.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter, even if it is visually a perfect straight zebra, super zebra with nothing wrong, you compare that to its brother or sister, the tail is going to be about 15% shorter to even up to 25% shorter than any other one. So their tail is shorter. Okay, does that matter? No, but because when you're comparing that tail to another sibling, why is their tail not as long? So it's weird. So there is something completely related to the super zebra, and that seems to be tied along. So when I do ocelot zebra, I know that I'm losing about 1/8 of the clutch to dead super zebras. Okay, it sucks, but I'm also getting 1/8 that'll be perfect super zebras. Like we've produced super zebras in every single one of our clutch that were perfect pretty much always. And I have a lot of raised up. I have an adult female this year that I was breeding super zebra to super zebra because I wanted to do it. I've never done it, and then my male died while moving, which really pissed me off because to me it was cool. Like, let's just try a super zebra to super zebra clutch. I wanted to see if I was going to get a disaster clutch. And I know it sounds horrible to say, right? But I actually wanted to do it. Like, how many people have bred has anybody, like, when's the last time you've heard of a super zebra to super zebra clutch?
I've never heard
Pure jungles.
Never heard of it.
And I was like, why not? And now I'm raising up another male. Maybe I'll steal Shan's male actually for next year because I have an adult female. I want to do it. I'm just curious. I want to do it because my assumption is half the clutch will die. That's if I had to guess, that's what I'd say. Sorry, go Shan.
No, it's okay. I have another. I want to know what your thoughts are on this thing. So, let's say you have super zebras from one female and the kink tails on the babies. Does it come like the babies have kink tails? Is it come from the mom or the dad, or does it come from the egg? I want to know what you think about that.
You want to go first, Riley, or do you want me to go?
So just my thought is the first year that I've had with Bonnie, she gave me kink tails, and she does not give me kink tails anymore, or I don't get any kink tail zebras anymore. So I don't know how to explain that. So is it with better? The eggs are better, or I don't know.
I'll answer it and I'll let Riley think about it. So my thinking is it's exactly the same thing as a jag. If you breed 2 perfect jags together with perfect jags, meaning they have no visual jag wobble, flipping, all that kind of thing, you're still going to get it in your babies. I think it is 100% tied to the gene, and I think you cannot breed it out, and I think it will never, ever disappear. So even if you have 2 perfect tail breeding together, you will have some babies that will have some, and then you will have some babies that have no problem. And I think you will never be able to breed it out because we've done so many outcrossings. Jungles have been outcrossed to everything out there. We've had every single line, and you talk to anybody that is bred for super zebras, they all have issues. In my opinion, it is fully tied to the gene, and it doesn't matter if your female's perfect. Like, if you would have raised a kinked super zebra, I bet you anything you could breed to another zebra or whatever it is you're breeding to, and you will be able to get super zebras that are unkinked. I think you're going to get the same. You're going to get both. That's my opinion and we've done a good amount of breeding. So What do you think, Riley?
Yeah, I tend to agree that it's something that is attached to the gene that you can't outcross or dilute or get rid of by any sort of breeding because, like you said, jungles and outcrossing jungles has been going on for a long time. And I remember specifically talking with Todd years ago when he was still trying to pursue granite super zebras, and just no matter what he did, couldn't hit one. The clutches were train wrecks. The females would have issues. Just like everything that could go wrong in any sort of super zebra project, not just that one, would happen. And not even just in the tail kinking. That was just like the obvious. Everything else was like more what he was focused on. It was like kind of a given that they were going to, get the common tail kinking to the point where um, it was still, it's still to me uncommon to see a zebra without a kinked tail, but the shortness of it, it kind of, so like a perfect tail, but it being truncated, like you said, in terms of a jag, it's kind of like the same thing as having a jag that doesn't express any wobble. It still has that tissue malformation that comes with the gene. You can't get rid of that, but this animal's malformation is not as severe, and so it doesn't demonstrate it as well. So I tend to agree with you that I don't think we'll be able to get rid of it, and you're just gonna you get some that are great and some that are not, and that's just gonna be
Yeah.
how it is.
And I think there's no bigger outcrossing than going to a completely different species, right? Breeding it
Right.
to a diamond, blah 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 blah, to bring in the super zebra in there, and you're still gonna have tail problems, right? And you've at that
Yeah.
point hybridized the crap out of it and crossed it.
Yeah.
You've put every single different genetic possibility in there, and it's still there, which tells me
Yep.
it's 100% tied to the gene.
Yeah. When you do diamond super zebras, when you do super zebra jags, when you do what else? I don't even know.
Albino,
Yeah,
the
it's there.
albino, you're going into Darwin. No matter where you go down, it's there.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah, that's a pretty in like hard to ignore part of that right there. The fact
Yeah.
that it's like no matter what you do, you will always see some of it. So yeah,
I,
I don't know.
I've been
I think that makes it more rewarding to work with them.
for sure. I've been pretty lucky, I guess, the last few years with Bonnie. I haven't had any issues, though. This year with the German female, it was her first year, and I had two of them with kinks. One not too bad. One's just on the tail, though, not body kinks.
Did
I've
you have
seen
any
a
lost
I've
eggs,
seen a
dead
lot of
eggs,
body kinks. Only two in that clutch, so I don't know. It's
and
hard
were
to
they
say.
super zebras, or you couldn't tell?
I couldn't tell. I lost
Okay.
them way early. So that one was unconclusive.
I think
So
it's a cool gene. Sorry, go for
yeah,
it, Riley.
I was gonna say to get even weirder with it. Last season, I believe I had a half Partho clutch from that same Super Zebra female bred to a different male. So I was expecting to get just zebras, and I got, well, I still have four of the super zebras that I'm assuming were parthenogenically produced because they shouldn't have been any super zebras in there. And two of them have quote unquote perfect tails, and two of them have either like a small bend or the full knot. And I had half the clutch, almost half the clutch. No, not that many. Maybe more like six eggs go bad along the way. And obviously, the ones that didn't develop long enough, I couldn't open to see what was in them. But the ones that did go most of the way and then failed at some point or another were all super zebras. Um, none of the failed eggs were single gene zebras. Every single one that hatched and pipped and died was a super zebra. So it was either the zebras made it. Oh, well, there was one zebra that came out really badly kinked that I had to put down, but otherwise, like, yeah, it was just super bizarre. But then, like you said, to get, um, two out of that are more or less perfect, quote unquote. Um, but then we got two that aren't, and so it just, yeah, it's just there, no matter
Um,
what.
I'm putting the statistical odds around 50% that you lose half the super zebras
Yeah.
in a clutch. But again,
Yeah.
that's my average from all the
Yeah.
clutches, but I think it seems to be kind of that. So the next thing is that I want to ask you about super zebras. So how do you think the color works on a super zebra? Do you think
Ah,
it's blending? Do you think what do you think? Because really, you never get a bright ass yellow super zebra. You also never get a brown, dark brown adult super zebra. You tend to always get golds. Okay, maybe
yeah.
some are uglier if your parents were ugly to start with, but if you started with pretty adults, you get golds.
Yeah. I think the two colors just blend, and
Is that what you think?
it's just a degree of how much it's leaning one way or the other. Like, I don't know if anybody's done enough work to say, like, if you do high yellow zebra to high yellow zebra, do those super zebras that result have better color than, say, heavy black zebra to heavy black zebra? Will that result in a darker one? I mean, you might get some variation, but they all kind of look the same to me color wise. Toward down the line, you get a little bit of differentiation in them, but it's all sort of like this greenish gold with a greenish gray smudge on the head eventually. I've seen photos of some really nice ones online, but everything looks great in a friggin' light cube with the 6500 Kelvin and the brightness all the way up and shadows gone. And, like, and some, like the Super Zebra Jags, it's almost like a different hue of yellow, but it's still different. And it's just, I don't think you'll ever get that, like a super bright canary, like screaming yellow gold Super Zebra. I just don't think that's going to be in the cards. There's just too many other things at play.
And how about so another one of my observations? That one I've only been starting to notice. You know the parietal eye, I think I'm saying it right, the extra eye on
Hmm.
top of the head. Do you
Hmm.
notice that it is more, it's a way of putting it, like sticks out a little bit more in super zebras?
Yeah.
It's a weird observation, but I've noticed often in super zebras, sometimes they'll shed and that one scale will stay there and then I'll have to remove just that one scale or that chunk of skin or that spacing in the skin where technically the third eye, which is really not a third eye, it's more like a light receptor. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
It seems to be slightly bigger. And I don't know if
Bigger.
I'm
Yeah.
really right or not, but I've noticed it in a lot of super zebras. It's just like I notice it. And I don't notice it in other snakes, but I
Yeah.
always notice it in super zebras. Now, is it because there's no pattern, so it's not being masked or not? But I notice it. So I don't know. It's one of those observations that I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I always notice it, especially like on any of them.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up because I used to always think that when I would look at a super zebra, because the first thing I would think of is they look like a scrub with the big head plate sort of deal that you can see a little bit better without any pattern in the way. And so I've had that thought as well. Is it, more noticeable because there isn't pattern, or is it bigger? I don't know. I'm going to start looking at it though. I'll tell you a lot more now.
You ever notice that, Shan, or no? Just curious.
I have noticed it a little bit, but not. I'm gonna keep an eye on it now.
Yeah.
Now that you've mentioned it, but yeah, no, I have
Uh,
noticed it as a bigger plate.
Shan, we're kind of over the 2 hours. I don't know how much time you have, Riley. I don't want to take too much of your time, but is there either of you? Is there topics you guys want to hit on before we? I don't know. Nearing, I'd say maybe we can go on for another 15 minutes or so, or whenever Riley's had enough of us. Um, Anything you wanted to hit up on, Shan?
We've hit quite a lot today. What about the app Fedora?
Oh
Can we go
man.
on about that a bit or what?
Yeah,
Talk a bit about that.
they're they're gonna make me earn it. That's for sure. This year I thought I had one of the females like locked and dialed. I was breeding both my males between both females, and I was getting locks across the board with this one female in particular. And then I was feeding her 2 to 3 pound piglets every week. I would feed give her a day or two, and then I'd put the male in and make sure nobody was in food mode, and they would just go right at it and lock up right in front of me. The female would lay inverted, belly up, the whole nine. And I started getting in the routine of palpating both the females every single day. And my bigger long-term captive female didn't show me any follicles whatsoever this year, which was interesting. And then the other female, I counted 13 massive follicles in her daily for well over a month. And I was pairing and I was getting locks and breeding, and then she went off food. And then the male started like being more interested in trying to eat, and like actually grabbed her a couple times when I was doing some pairing. So I was sort of thinking maybe he's done. In hindsight, what I should have done is kept pairing with the other male and just keep going. But yeah, I got her to the point where she went off food. She had 13 golf ball sized follicles in her. She shed, and then after the shed, I could still feel these 13 consecutive lumps in her for like 30 days. And then 30 days came and went. And then we hit like day 40, and I went to go palpate her, and there was like nothing there. And I was like, what the actual fuck? Like, I don't know, dude. These things are such a mystery. And I used to spend hours talking with Todd about this, trying to figure these out, and with him, because he had them for a while, and he would always get the same thing. He would get them to the point where the females were building follicles and locking. He could leave the male in for a couple days, no problem, and and then just nothing. And so that's where I'm at right now, which is frustrating because I've tried a couple different approaches where I was like, all right, I'm gonna follow somebody else's formula, and then this season I abandoned that, and I decided I'm just gonna uh, kind of feed along the same lines I do with my carpet pythons, but then take more of the approach that Lisa Farina does with her white lips, and do heavy weekly meals and really just like emphasize that. Do feed, uh, digest, pair, feed, digest, pair, and kind of do what she was doing in the fall. And um, or no, was it? Let me see my dates. No,
See,
it was spring. It was in
my
spring.
issue my issue with doing that is if they don't go, then you end up with fat females.
You'd be surprised, dude. These girls, they process their food, man. I mean, they're big, so like a 2 to 3 pound piglet leaves a lump in it, but then like a couple days later, it's like it's gone. And they're both, 13, 14 feet. They can eat much bigger, but what I was doing, I was just kind of like, okay, if I'm thinking about their biology, I had I had kind of fasted them over the winter, and then hit them pretty good in spring, and then kind of tapered off in the summer a little bit, and to the point where they were staring at me, looking up through the door like, bro, when are you gonna feed us? Like they were pacing, getting hangry. And then I started slamming them and just hitting them with so much food, like every single week. And that female just got bigger, 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 and she was inverting and swelling and just glowing, and everything looked so convincingly right. And I just was getting locks right in front of me. The males were just focused, and yeah, I don't know, maybe another year of that same routine, um, and just a full calendar year of that behind a successful season. We'll see. I don't know. They're making me earn it though.
It sounds like you're close. My opinion is don't change a thing and go another
Yeah,
year or two like that. I feel like you're
yeah,
going to get there. I like sometimes when everything is almost right, if you're going to tweak something, man, barely tweak it. Like if you decide to
yeah.
take your night times down in the winter a little colder, maybe go 2 degrees colder, three,
How
but
how
don't
cold are
fuck
you
too
going?
much with it.
How cold are
So
you
in
going
the
with these?
winter, I was letting their hotspot go down to like 74 at night, but letting the ambient in the room get to like 68, 70. Um, I can I can go lower or even eliminate their hotspot at night for the winter if I wanted to do a small variable change for them. Um, That would be the only thing I could think of, because TJ out in Arizona got a clutch from his, and I think he runs full ambient, and so I think during the winter his got probably colder than what mine did, and that would be the only major difference, because I was talking with him during both of our timelines, and for a minute I thought my girl was like a month behind his female, like on the same schedule. We were talking so frequently and like comparing notes and like, okay, this is what my girl's doing. Okay, this is what my girl's doing. Okay. And then he would get his clutch. I was like, oh shit, okay. And my girl was doing this about, now, and your girl was doing that like 4 weeks ago. So maybe I'm on this timeline. But again, he's in Arizona, and instead of it being hot spot, it's hot window of time, and then it cools down. And in the winter, it's more or less the same, but lower. So that's the only thing that I think I might change, if anything. But I cycle feed and I light cycle them, and I miss them a lot seasonally, and switch that up as well too. So I try to, think of the variables. And so this season I'm just going to stick with what I did last year. And
yeah, because there's only a handful of people that have bred them. I'm assuming you've reached out to Cody Joe as well to talk a bit. You're frozen there. Okay, you're back.
I think I maybe briefly talked to him, but yeah, I definitely follow all of his success on YouTube and social media as well.
Because he's bred him like a couple of years in a row now, at least twice. Like
I think he's on his third year this year. I think it's his third year this year.
So I'd be curious to see how low is, just to see if it compares to yours.
Yeah, because I definitely paid attention to what he was saying his daytime basking temps were, and how and when he cycles, and it's actually very similar to how and when I cycle. So I think, that might be a good question to ask him, just to figure out how low he goes, because I think our highs and our basking and our timeline and everything is the same. But yeah, just a little different.
Hey,
They're fun snakes, man.
I was gonna say, sometimes we just have those species that even if other people breed them, you just can't. Like, I'm kicking myself in the ass because I still can't breed roughies, and I'm getting really pissed off. And my females are getting fat now because I keep trying to like pound the food into them around the season, and now I'm like, God damn it, my girls are. I have one gigantic girl. I'm scared I actually broke her now because this year I went really hard on her during breeding season, because I'm like, maybe that's what it is. And now there's parts of I'm actually doubting. I'm like, what if I have 3 females and I just don't have a male? And I've reprobed them, and I'm like one goes super deep. I definitely have a male.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, do I need a second male? I don't know. But like sometimes where you doubt yourself, and a roughie shouldn't be hard to breed, man. I think a roughie breeds like a carpet. It should be easy to breed. And yet I can't do it.
You won't. If it makes you feel any better, it took me about 5 years to breed my own corn snakes. And I was breeding corn snakes for my previous supplier or previous employer, multiple years. So it happens to the best of us, dude.
I think we've all had that species that's really, for some reason, we can't. I mean, look at Owen. Owen can't breed IJs, right? It's just, he just can't do it.
Yeah. You know what? If everything was easy, it wouldn't be as fun, right?
Fair enough. All right, Shan, you got a last question or two, or are you good?
No, I'm good. That was good.
Yeah, Riley, man. Honestly, I love bringing you on because you're passionate. You love the same shit we love. So It's a great conversation. It's so easy. It's just like, this is literally a phone call you'd have over with a friend, or you'd be talking beers over a fireplace. Fireplace, stuff like that, around a fire outside or something.
Yeah, bro. Well, whenever you guys want to have me on, I work from home now, so it's not like I got a whole lot going on. I'm doing a show once a month for the second half of this year, leading up till Christmas. But otherwise, yeah, man, I'm fully in with the snake. So if you ever need guests and need something to do, let me know.
Well, I figured we were just chatting. I'm like, you know what? Like, we were going to do another show, just me and Shan. And I'm like, last minute, hey, you want to just come on? And I'm like, Shan's like, sweet. That'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
It's that easy for me, man. Pretty simple.
So Riley, let's say I'm an American. Obviously, Americans aren't this good looking, but if I was an American living in America, and
sorry,
I had to throw
Well,
myself some flowers.
first of all, I would parade you around Los Angeles just to get that extra clout that would
Nice,
rain down
nice,
upon me
nice.
secondarily.
So if I was in the States and I wanted to buy a snake off you, I wanted to reach out to ask you a million questions and then ask my wife, and then she'd say no, so I would end up not buying from you. But if I wanted to, how would I reach you?
Yeah, real easy. I'm on Morph Market, but I also have my website, rileysreptiles.com, and I try to keep everything updated as best I can. In fact, I spent 4 hours working on the website today, adding some het granite babies up there, and I'm gonna try and get a little bit more in. But yeah, website, Morph Market, and then Instagram is a wonderful way to keep in touch with me, and then YouTube is the easiest way to sort of follow various clutches hatching projects going on. I'll scatter everything on Instagram, but I really like to do full in-depth sort of insight of what's going on the YouTube channel. And this year I've been hitting it hard just because a lot's been happening. But yeah, I'm not hard to find, and I'm always happy to talk snakes.
Awesome. No,
I was going to say, Shan, you want to drop your contacts and comment about Riley?
Absolutely. No, thanks for coming on. Always killing it on YouTube. I watched some of your videos. It's awesome. Love it.
Thank you.
It's good for the newcomers. It's good for the hobby. So awesome. Yeah. Apart from that, you know where you can reach me, Shan Melanson, at Facebook or Instagram or Messenger, either or. Yeah.
Smoke signals. Anything you want, you can reach him. Riley, thanks again for jumping on. Appreciate it. Please don't log off just in case for the uploading. Everybody, if you need to reach Michael, do Reptile Rejects on Instagram or Michael Gillian on Facebook. If you want to reach out for myself, Dominic Calvino on Facebook, Dom's Reptiles on Instagram. Do we have any animals for sale, Shan? I guess we do. Not that many, but we will definitely have some.
Are they taking both clutches of breadloose?
I think they're taking 16 is what they said, or something like that. We'll have to figure.
Then I have another 16 left.
Okay, so we probably will have Bredleys. We'll have Indians, gray bands, spotteds maybe. Yeah, you'll have a few spotteds for sale. Maybe some gelatins. I think you have some gelatins left.
I still have some gelatins. I got a few supers left.
And I might have 2 granite popwins for sale, and that's about it, considering technically nothing even is ready for sale, and we don't have a lot for sale. I'd say it's a good start of the season. Yeah, so if you want any of that, reach out to Shan or me. It makes literally no difference because we pool our animals and sell together. So, but reach out to Shan if you want, because he's nicer, guys, and it'll be easier and it's less work for me. So to everybody who's listening, thanks a lot, guys. If you're on listening live, please subscribe. Maybe we can try to get up to 5 or 6 subscribers. It'd be amazing. We'll never get to 1,000, but I love it. You can press the notification bell, although who does that? Like, would you really want to be annoyed with that? And if you're listening to us on podcasts, man, add us. It's kind of cool. It's nice to see. And thank you very much. We will see you guys next week. We might have a guest. We might not. If you want to be a guest and you love shit that I love, reach out. Reach out to me or Shan. Let us know. We might bring you on. Absolutely. I still want to bring a green tree python guy. I just got to get a green tree python guy to say, yes, I'm coming. So we'll work on that too. So to everybody, yeah, have a great night. Thanks for logging on, gents. Thanks for logging on, guests. And talk to you later.
Appreciate you guys.
You rock, Riley.